Good morning. Our hand's going to be 5-4, but again, it's hand analysis. So under the gun raises, I fold, and we get a mid position caller, and two guys go to the flop. We've got over 100 hands on this player. We've got only about 22 hands on this player. This player's odd. He's playing 31-15, but when you look at his VPIP, he plays many more hands in the early position than he does in mid position and cutoff. When we look at total number of hands, his raise first in here is 11 out of 26 in early position, but 3 out of 22, 1 out of 4, 0 out of 2. I kind of have a feeling that he must play this strategy where he raises a lot early position and try to take advantage of the typical situation that you're stronger in these early position, um, in these early seats. So because of that, I'm going to give him a pretty wide range. This is 44.5. Maybe that's too wide. I do want to leave these offsuits here. So then it just kind of comes down to, what hands do we cut out to improve the range? And it's 44.8. I think we'll just leave it. I mean, it's a big range, but it kind of fits the stats. Uh, Fits what the stats are telling us, that he's going to be raising first in a lot in early position, but then he doesn't do that as much in mid position or later. Um, so we'll see what he has. This player is playing 32-14. We don't really have many hands on him at all. You can see VPIP is just kind of over the place. He's in mid position, hasn't played a hand. Cutoff, he's played 2 out of 3. Button, he's played 2 out of 4. So I just kind of put together just like a kind of a generic, looser calling range. I assumed he would 3-bet queens plus ace king. I give him the aces, suited aces, broadways, and I'm contemplating all of the broadways. It's just tough. It's hard to know if he would do all of the broadways. Let's do that. Let's give him all of the Broadway cards. That could brings us up 21%. Definitely pocket pair, suited aces, some suited cards. I think that's pretty interesting. Not sure if he would do these suited connectors or not, but we have him in there. All right, so the flop comes down to ace 10-7 with 2 diamonds. At this point, we have to look at c-bets. So c-bet in position 2 out of 2, out of position 1 out of 4. He's out of position. I think he's probably going to be along the tighter range here. So you've got top pair plus maybe, maybe not even all top pair. I bet he would check with the kings, middle cards. See what he does. He checks. So I think what we'll do is kind of eliminate the top pair and just give him all the rest. I think we would. I mean, maybe he'll have the flush draw, but I don't think so. I think we'll get rid of the flush draw. It's possible that he could have an open ender. I'm sorry, I got shot. So we'll leave those in, but I think that's it. Definitely his hand became weaker once he checked. But I mean, he's got a massive range, and it is possible that maybe he's checking some of these top pair hands and some of these flush draws to protect against having a check fold. So villain 7 now checks. He's in good position. He could have bet 2 pair. He could have bet all the sets top pair. He chose not to. My guess is he probably doesn't have that. So I also wonder, maybe jacks. Maybe he doesn't have that, but we'll give him. What we'll do is we'll scale the flush draws and the straight draws at 50%, because there is a possibility that some of these players on their draw will check because they don't want to bet and then get check raised. I don't know. It's just a funny thing about that. So right now, both hands just basically became much weaker. But one hand, this guy's hand does have the draws in it. So if a diamond comes, it could possibly be a diamond flush. And I would assume this guy would have bet his flush. definitely bet his flush as a bluff. 4 clubs comes out. Villain 4 checks. They both check. So here he has an opportunity again to bet. I'm going to eliminate a set. Maybe he's scared of the pocket pair below the top card. I'm going to leave those in there and assume that maybe he would bet those on the river. So those are his. And same thing with villain. I kind of think sets would be betting. Top pair shouldn't have been in here. I have to take those out. Yep. So we're out of there now. So we'll give him still the flush draw. We'll give him the straight draw. We'll give him basically everything below that top pair again. And I do think one of the under pairs, the second pair, so kings, queens, jacks, maybe even the 10x hands might try to bet on the river. Now the 10x probably won't bet on the river. Diamond draw gets there. Villain 4 checks. So at that point, I don't think the straight. Maybe 50%. We'll do 50% on straight. Occasionally, especially with flush draw going up, they would check. But this is 10 NL. No, we'll leave 100%. 100% straight here. Because I think 10 NL players might bet into this with straight and then probably call when the flush raises. Two pair. Yeah, I don't think two pair. Checked. All right. Yep. So went check, check. Yeah, this guy I'll leave this. I'll leave with the straight sets, two pair, all of that. This guy, however, I think he would have bet his flush if he connected. I do think he probably would bet his straight as well. Maybe the set. Try to get a little bit of value. Those are all strong hands. I just think we're looking at those middle pair, weak pair, nothing. I think at some point these hands probably would have bet. It's just so passive. They're gonna look for some value, and right or wrongly, I think the flush you go, you hope to get some value. I think the straight you bet for some value. It's gone check check. You're hoping to get called by one pair hand who's bluff catching. So we'll go for that. So we get to the showdown. He shows nines. He shows queen jack. So does he have queen jack in here? Yep, he does. He's got that middle pair, queen jack off. This guy has the nines in there. That is your weak pair. Just kind of when you see hands like this, it kind of makes sense. They called and then they don't really have anything, so they're not going to be aggressive to try to bet to pick up the pot. This guy's scared of the overcard, so he's not going to bet. This guy just basically going for a gut shot. So it's just, not surprised by seeing hands like that. Yeah, we didn't really narrow down the range a whole lot to where we have 3 or 4 hands that we could pick from, but it's the hand types are consistent. So we're going to take some notes here. I think he raised 2.5. Yep. So RFI 2.5 under the gun with 9 of clubs, 9 of hearts. He is out of position. Check, check, check. Ace of spades, 10 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, 4 clubs, jack of diamonds. All right, we're going to copy that. get this guy as well. So he called under the gun 2.5 RFIN. He's the hijack with Queen of Spades, Jack of Clubs. He is in position. Check, check, check. All right. So I don't like this guy. I don't like how they checked it. I think someone needed to bet. I think the most likely person to bet would be this guy. I think Queen Jack could be in like the, I guess you'd call it a float bet. When the guy who has initiative checks, and then you bet after him because you're in position on him. He could have that. I think when he's showing weakness with the check. I think you can bet your gut shots, which that is. It's a gut shot. And if villain calls again, or if he calls, then this guy could possibly continue firing on the turn, because I think maybe if this guy's playing tricky, he has an ace, ace weaker kicker. But most of the time, I think people bet those aces. I don't think GTO says to bet all of them, but I think most of the time people bet their aces. So once they checked, I'm thinking he doesn't have an ace. So that means he has kings, queens, jacks, maybe 10, 9, something like that. Or he's got some sort of diamond draw, or maybe a gut shot himself. So he calls once because the flop is small. So you bet, after it goes check here, you bet 4, kind of 2/3. He calls maybe, and then let's do 4. So then we're up to like 15 big blinds in the pot, and then he checks again. And at this point, I'd bet 7.5. I do have pot bet. Maybe it would be better to size up. Maybe that kind of sizing up applies more pressure. I think it polarizes our range a bit more. Increases fold equity. It should. And then those under pairs like the kings and queens and jacks, they're not going to call 2 bets. They might call the first bet, but they won't call 2 bets. So I think that's kind of what this guy should have done. This guy, I do think he probably should have bet. I mean, he does have a massive range, so I don't think we're going to be betting everything. But if we check, you plan for a check call, and then on the turn, you still didn't improve. And you don't even see the problem. You don't even have a diamond. So maybe this guy played appropriately GTO play. But once it goes check, check, and the 4 comes out, I think he could take a stab at the 9 at some point. I think the turn's probably the least scary. I don't think the turn card changed a whole lot of hands. Jack, I think that's a bad card. So I think if he was going to bet, I think maybe the turn. So that's my opinion on it. Work through the hands. You can see. Don't be surprised at some of the hands that players show down. But start working through your hands. I'll go through. Plan to do another one tomorrow. So if you like this, look for the next one.